Good morning. Well, in the last video, I asked that you take some time to think and pray about what you're really passionate about. And I assume if you're watching this video, you've done that. You've gone and done the homework, because what I'm going to say after this won't make a lot of sense unless you know what it is you want to put into action. And now, you've given it some thought, and maybe it's the children of Zimbabwe. Maybe it's youth in your own hometown. Maybe it's the elderly in your hometown. Maybe it's NASCAR. Something that off the wall, that there's plenty that can be done. So you think about it, and you feel this tug in your heart, and you know that it's right, and you feel like, oh, this is what I really love. This is what God has prepared me for. Well, what do you do with it? I mean, that seems to be one of the hardest things to get over, is, all right, I know this about me now. What do I do with it? Well, the first thing you got to do are make some big goals, okay? Because if you don't know generally what direction you want to head in, it's not going to do you a lot of good. So first we take this far back approach, as if looking at a map. Say, when you're looking like a Google Maps, right? You come in and you see this picture of the earth, and you incrementally have to get down to the level of the street so that you can see exactly what it is, where you're going. So as you go through this process, it will get more refined, but you're not going to know immediately what to do. So it's going to take more thought and prayer. Surprise, surprise, right? So as you're figuring this stuff out, what we need to do next is come up with some general goals. And these need to be written down, because if they're not, you're going to forget about them. You're not going to focus on them. And I don't mean just write them down in some notebook and leave them. I mean put them somewhere where you're going to see them every day, and it's going to bother you if you're not working towards them. Okay? Because they're going to be staring you right in the face. So that's the next step. Let's take, for example, I can give you a personal example. With what I do with music, one of the goals that I have is to bring people from many churches together. That's one of the goals that I have, is so that they can network and go out and do things in the community. That's one of the big goals I have. Another one is to make some documentaries about what missionaries are doing in other countries, so that we can see how changes are happening before missionaries come and afterwards, and that it might put on our hearts some bond with some of these other countries, that God might speak to us and say, that country, that's the one for you. I want you to help there. I want you to give money there, or whatever. Those are now two big goals that I have. Another big goal that I have is to be able to bring people together more in prayer, kind of at will, that we don't have to wait for big events, that the churches will come together. Those are three big goals I have. And so I did have these goals written down, and I thought about them, and there are more, believe me. But as you see these things line up, now for you, if it's fishing, you love to fish, well, there may be some things that you can do if you think about it. Maybe you want to help improve fishing technology for people in a third world country that depend on fishing as a way of life. Maybe that's your way of bringing the gospel to some of these people. Or maybe it is attending fishing events and having some sort of a ministry there where you're providing soup, or use your imagination. I can't make your goals up for you, but those are definitely some directions that you could go if you're into fishing. So think about it long and hard. I mean, what do you love to do? You should have it. And now that you know what you want to do, what general direction could you see yourself doing something in that area? Because there is a way to do it. And it may, like I said before, it may mean a full-time commitment later on down the road. It may mean a part-time commitment right now. It might be a part-time commitment forever and just something you love to do evenings and weekends as you can, and you still keep your full-time job, and that's okay. But the time has come to stop thinking about someday when, and to actually put plans into action. Because I tell you this, that we weren't meant to just work for 40 years, retire, and then do everything that we had ever planned upon. But God has plans for us now and here, whether you're 8, 15, 30, 65, 80. God has plans for you now. And the time is now to figure out what those plans are, because He has a place for you here and now where you're at. So let's get those big goals written down, and then we'll talk next time about refining those a little bit more, getting down into the details so that we can plan ahead. You might also want to take some time and do some research. We have the internet right at our fingertips, and we can learn about any number of subjects. So if it's a country, look into that country, the population, the religion, whatever, so that you're getting educated about it. If it's air travel, you know, look at the people, look at the needs, try and find out exactly why is God putting that on your heart, because that's going to help you with your large goal setting as well, to be able to go and understand the people, because that's really why we're doing this, so that we can serve other people. So I want you to really dig in and spend some good amount of time in research this week, because that's going to help you. Just pulling ideas out of thin air is going to be really difficult. So God bless you as you go through this week, and I hope that you find at least 3 things that you would like to do in relation to this area that God's put on your heart. That's a good start. Gives you some diversity, some ways to branch out, and then we'll talk about getting tasks to meet those goals next week. All right? Thanks, and God bless.